Hey there. Today we are talking about insecurity. Now I know at any given point, any one of us, we have seen a certain gentleman of a certain height, stature, lack thereof, I should say, driving an enormous vehicle. Now that is a good physical representation of insecurity, and we know how to spot it when we see it, right? Every time we see an insecurity, all that is, it's an overcompensation, keyword being overcompensation, of a fear that they're trying to protect. Every time I'm trying to get in relationship with someone, every person carries insecurities. They may not be as vast or as obvious or even as damaging as others might have. But nonetheless, we all still carry insecurities. And it's because we all carry core fears that have to do with how we see ourselves. So whenever time we encounter an overcompensation, that is a defense mechanism to keep people out. The fastest way to get into relationship with clients, especially when they're being difficult, the fastest way to resolve relationships and challenges in our relationships is to identify and see the overcompensation and then come around behind it and make that person feel protected, that they're not going to feel exposed or embarrassed because of their fear. Now, keep in mind, those insecurities, just like our guy driving the truck, he's the only person who doesn't know that he's insecure about his height. But we all know, right? The same thing applies to me. In my insecurity, I am the last person to know. So when you're dealing with someone you're trying to walk with them through an insecurity, just keep in mind, they don't see it. So how you handle them is very cautious. And by the way, if you decide to provoke their insecurity, they're going to point yours out too. Right in that moment where we expose their insecurity, when we do that, that brings them on the offense and they'll expose ours. So now we're caught up in a dance of exposing each other's insecurity, and it is creating distance and further apart. In business, the last difficult client you worked with, isn't that what happened? You might have even accidentally touched on theirs, and they turn around and touched on yours right back, and it creates a rift. In that, to end that rift, to bring it back together, we can't step through. Their defense mechanism is like a wall. You can't go through the defense mechanism. You have to go around it. You come behind and you make them feel good about their fear. So if the guy who's driving the big truck is feeling insecurity about himself, then what do I do to overcome that? I tell him how amazing he is. I tell him what his strengths are. I compliment him on what he's good at. I make him feel good about who he is, because that's what he's fearing, is that he's not enough. So what do? I make him feel enough. So I hope in the next relationship, and with the client that you're dealing with right now that is giving you difficulty, that you will reach around that wall and make them feel enough. Take care.